How We Work Now, where we explore how people are reshaping the modern workplace through lived experience with neurodiversity, chronic illness, and disability. Today, I'm joined by Evan Patterson, a marketer who's built a reputation for turning genuine connection into real conversions. He helps B2B businesses bring more humanity into their marketing through storytelling, authenticity, and empathy. And he's never been afraid to blur the line between professionalism and personality. Evan's work is shaped by his experience as an ADHD and queer marketing leader and by his commitment to redefining what sustainable, ethical success looks like in this industry. I'm so happy to have you here, Evan. Care to introduce yourself in your own words?
Yeah, well, fantastic intro. My name is Evan. And yeah, I do a lot of marketing for B2B, mostly B2B. Slowly been branching out since. Not too public about it yet though. But yeah, I love blurring the lines of professionalism, also humor and relatability and being human. And by that, I just mean like I'm just sick and tired of like the corporate stuffiness. And I also kind of think that the definition of professionalism needs to be redefined.
Hmm. I had a post about that on my LinkedIn a while ago.
Great minds and all that.
All right. So let's get started. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what led you into the work that you do now?
That that is a wild background. I've done a lot of different jobs. I've worked in insurance, technology, insurance itself. I've been a shop boy, been a go-go dancer. I used to MC drag shows. I used to MC mechanical
Nice.
bull riding competitions and wet t-shirt contests. I've been a shop boy in gay bars. I've worked at like chain restaurants, sports bars. And I've worked in like retail furniture design, like interior design. Like it'd be easy for me to tell you what jobs I haven't done. But the through line is at the same time I was always like creating things on the side of like content and I was making ad revenue by making fan sites for games and movies and things that I liked and I would get ad revenue. And I just quickly realized that a lot of my jobs, there is a trend, there's a commonality of bringing people to a feeling. I'm kind of controlling the room and the vibe of what's like what people are feeling in that moment, what to walk away with. Or I was generating sales, right? And I was terrible at closing. I'm terrible at closing. I will never get better at it, and I'm content with that. But what I would get praised at is I was really good at opening deals. I was really good at filling the pipeline because of the other skills that I had, combined with my technical skills that I was doing as a hobby and as a side hustle. So I kind of like realized that I was doing marketing by accident and for a long time, and I started telling people what I really want to do, and a lot of bosses took some swings on me and gave me chances. I documented it all in public, and now here I am owning a marketing agency.
Woohoo, awesome. I love that for you. I love your many different jobs in the past. I think a lot of people can relate to that. We're told we're going to have one career. You pick it when you're 17, 18, going into college, and that's what you do. But for most people, that is not what happens.
I had
And
no
you have
idea
to,
what I wanted to do. I couldn't have told you. Yeah.
what 17-year-old knows what they want to do?
I think it's also just a really irresponsible question to ask a child.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. So we're all figuring it out as we go. So how did growing up queer and neurodivergent help you learn to navigate rejection, belonging, and identity in this world that we live in that's not really built for people like us?
It's a bit two-pronged because like I'm from the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, and there's a phrase where I'm from, the further north you go, the further south you get. If you could put two and two together. So not only are the people racist, they're also cartographically illiterate because they don't know where they're from on a map. So that made being queer quite interesting in a politically purple environment, I would say. My parents, they could not care less in a good way. Like I was very thankful to have extremely accepting parents and grateful. Now the good news is it's sad that I have to say that because that back then that was not the
Mhm.
norm. I'm 31 for context. Um, but you kind of you always felt othered on that level to begin with. And a lot of queer people when they come out, they usually start to feel some level of acceptance, maybe not right away, but some sort of figuring it out. But I still always felt up until like I was 29 years old, like I was the only sober person in the room with drunks or the only drunk person in a room full of sober people. You know, like everyone's operating on a different wavelength and I just don't quite get it. It took until I had a mental health crisis that is way beyond the scope of this interview that drove me to get help and like I was always going to therapy, but for some reason nobody thought to bring up, are you neurodivergent to me at therapy?
Mm.
Until this one specific therapist that I went to after switching 1,000 times over the years. And got tested and came to find out I have borderline personality disorder. I am in a remission state, thankfully. Thank God I've done all the work there. But also I have autism and ADHD.
Yeah, I think especially with autism, the idea most people have in their minds is this very strict guideline of, 12-year-old boy that loves trains and, has
Yeah.
repetitive movements. And it doesn't come even close to the scope and spectrum of autism among so many people and the different ways it can look. So I think there's so many people out there that know there's something wrong. They don't quite fit in, but they don't know what it is. They don't have the language and they don't
Yeah.
realize that it can be autism because they feel like they don't fit this mold that they think autism has to be.
The irony, I was actually quite literate in it because my sister is autistic and she was
Oh,
diagnosed when she was 2 and she's 5 years
mhm.
older than me. So I've never not known her without that knowledge. So
Oh my
there's a
gosh.
level of annoyance that I have where it's like my whole family, myself included, was very versed on like what it is. So my view, it really is a lot more. A lot of people would feel like a lot of grief and sadness when they find out that they have autism or ADHD later in life because there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda that happens, right? And I have that, don't get me wrong, but I also have, I'm blessed with the opportunity to also know that at the same time, I'm also just a victim of the time that we were in. Everybody likes to talk about how there's like systemic issues and oppression, all these things that are valid and true. I'm not discounting that,
Mhm.
but there's also just the natural evolution and advancement of science. And
Mm.
in the, I was born in 1994. My sister was born in the late 80s. We just didn't know as much as we know now. Whether that has to do with systemic issues or not is still important, but at the end of the day, we did not know as much as we know now. We did not know that ADHD was a dopamine deficiency. We just thought it meant you couldn't sit still and couldn't focus. You can focus. The problem is you can't control when and how you focus.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know that autism, you could be like me, I have a huge personality. I am not shy at all. I'm extremely extroverted. You and I both know in the mid 90s that was the antithesis of the definition of an autistic person was to be incredibly social. Right. I am incredibly social. So we I often try to be a little forgiving of the fact that like I just happen to be alive and born and raised during a time where science was not caught up yet.
Yeah. Well, speaking of this neurodivergence, how has your ADHD shaped the way you structure your business today? Do you see differences in the type of client work you do or changes in, how your energy flows on a daily or weekly basis?
I am so selfish now. Like I only work with people that I want to work with. Um, I am unapologetically myself. Not close-minded, but like aggressively myself. I create systems that lean into who I am instead of fighting myself to build those habits. Like I'm very fortunate to be able to afford a VA. I've set up tools that help me work the way that my brain works. I'm self-employed, and I became self-employed because I was so miserable and unhappy. Every time I worked someplace, I'd be hired for one reason, then I do the reason I'm hired for, then I'm yelled at for doing the thing that I was hired for, and I'm like, what? I don't understand. And they go like, we love how bombastic and grandiose you are. Come work here. No, 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 not like that. I'm like, but I'm just doing the thing you hired me to do, you know? So marketing is half of it's being a personality hire, let's be honest. So I just got really sick and tired of constantly having situations where I was surrounded by people that and I mean this the most disrespectful way I possibly can. Not emotionally intelligent. And so by being self-employed, I could pick and choose who I could associate myself with. And with having borderline personality disorder, it was also incredibly important for my self-esteem. Even in my personal life, I have an extremely high bar for your emotional maturity and intelligence to even take my drink order. So, and I have to have that same level of boundary professionally. So those are some of the major ways that I've changed the way that I work. I could go on for hours about the changes I've made. Keep in mind also, this is the past 2 years. I'm 31. I got diagnosed at 29. So this is all still ever happening.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear that so much from other disabled, neurodivergent, chronically ill people. I need a good umbrella term to cover those subsets. But I hear that a lot
Also,
that
how rude to have such like mouthful of words for people that statistically are not that good at it.
I know I'm working on it. I'll figure it out at some point and it'll be a great branding thing for my series.
Yeah.
Um, but I hear that a lot from people in this subsection where that's why I'm kind of excited about focusing on business owners specifically who have these aspects because so many of us do start our own businesses and our own careers because of our limitations and because of, it's hard to get accommodated. I've worked at corporations before. I put in my accommodations and I had to work for like 6, 8 weeks without any accommodations before they decided to approve it. And there was nothing I could do except quit if I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So kind of the ability to be like, I need this and I'm going to get this from day one. I'm not going to kill myself slowly trying to do it another way and bend over backwards is a really common thing, I think.
Well, the other thing that I have found that's helpful is like a lot of people worry about like, well, what about like, you need disability, you need all these different
Mm-hmm.
insurances and things to take care of yourself, especially in America, with the way our healthcare
Mm-hmm.
system works. Paradoxically, to your point, I make way more money in less time because I've gone this route, because I am giving my own accommodations. It's like, wow, it's almost like when I give myself my own accommodations, I'm able to get more things done. And when I get more things done, I make more money. Imagine how much money my former employer would have made if they just gave me the accommodations. But in this case,
Yeah.
I am my own employer, right? So I can afford to not have certain perks and benefits that come with a traditional appointment, like a 401k match or group policy discounts and stuff, right? And like I don't qualify for disability insurance with some of my health insurance issues, with my health issues. And I used to be licensed in insurance, so I really know what I'm talking about. But because I make so much more money now, I can afford to self-insure and find other ways to invest that actually outrank the things I would have gotten from traditional employment. Um, I I can afford to take off 3 months. I shouldn't, by the way, because my clients would hate me. But like I could, in theory, like afford to just go like, I don't want to work with you, peace out, bye, and like I'm done. Like that's a luxury that I've worked very hard to give myself. So, one of the things that I've learned is self-employment may be scarier, more chaotic than normal employment. But when you're just doing a job as a freelancer and fractionally, especially in the world that we live in with layoffs being the way that they are, and um, job security is a lie. I feel more secure in my job being self-employed than I ever did as a W-2 employee. That's, I think, just something that America tries to teach people so they become good little factory workers.
Hmm.
Because self-employment is actually no more or less risky than working for somebody else. I would actually even argue it's less risky.
Yeah, I think it's just really different
It's
than
just
being
different.
employed,
Yeah.
and it's a different skill set.
Yeah, it's
So
different.
let me
It's not
move
harder or worse. It's
in.
just different.
I'm going to move into my next question.
Yeah.
What boundaries do you set with clients to protect your energy without losing trust or momentum and keeping strong relationships?
Straight out of the gate, I kind of set an expectation of like emotional maturity and communication. Like we have to
Hmm.
be able to use I statements, not you statements. If you have an expectation of me that wasn't communicated and I don't mean it, I don't care because I'm sorry, I'm not responsible for crossing a boundary that you didn't set.
Hmm.
And because I'm not going to hold you accountable for crossing a boundary that I didn't set. I also like I preach in my content a lot of this also of if you assume malice when someone upsets you, you're the problem. Um,
Hmm.
like, am I offensive or are you offended? You know what I mean? Those are things that I look for in conversation with people, either explicitly or not explicitly. Um, and my contracts are written in a way that even has like clauses regarding like morals and ethics. Like if I feel like I'm crossing my own personal moral ethics lines, this contract is now null and void. I no longer have to work with you. You no longer owe anything to me. Peace out. Bye. We're done. And it
Hmm.
works both ways. They're allowed to do the same back, because they're humans at the end of the day. It's never had to happen. Knock on wood. But and then the other thing is also the way that I get paid. Like I charge up front. You got to pay Netflix before you can watch Netflix. Why can't you pay me before I work? You don't
Hmm.
get to buy a house after. You don't get to live in a house after you before you pay for it. You got to pay for it first, right? Almost everything in the world, almost everything, is in that order. So I do that because then I know you got skin in the game. Um, and that I like knowing that you are investing in this as much as me. I also look for the words and how they approach what I do because I work in marketing. A lot of people see it as fluffy or a nice to have. And if
Hmm.
you want to view it as a luxury, I don't think you realize that your sales team is going to fail without marketing. You got to hire marketing before sales. And a lot of people like to do the opposite order. So it's kind of like, thank you for telling me you don't know what you're talking about without telling me you don't know what you're talking about. And you're twice my age and you've owned six businesses and been a VP of how many companies and you still don't know this. We're probably not going to be a good fit.
Hmm.
So I use a lot of that to protect my energy.
Yeah, having the freedom to choose the right clients for you that know and understand how you work and
Yeah.
are willing to go along with that and make a good
I don't
partnership.
have to like every single person that I work with, but if you're the primary point of contact and I'm dealing with you regularly, I have to. You remember back in the day, the toxic advice was like, hire somebody you would get a drink with, right? But that was spouted
Mm.
out by like white cis straight men, tech bros. I actually use that, but from a different perspective. Like, would I invite you to the gay bar for to the club to go to karaoke with me? Like, would I invite you to hang out in my guest room at my house and meet my cats? Like, that's how I look at it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, what is a habit you've deliberately dropped because it clashed with how you work and how your brain functions, rather than forcing yourself to keep it because of some expectation of how we're supposed to do things?
Well, with ADHD, there was no habits to drop.
Oh.
It was more you need the habit was the lack of habit.
Mm.
So it's a lot of it's been eating better, drinking better, trying. So I have terrible sleep patterns, but I've gotten a lot better of like okay, I can't commit to a bedtime, but I can commit to go to bed, get off the computer and the video games and the TV at like 10 and get into bed and just start to wind down
Mm.
by 10. And I know me, that means I'll eventually fall asleep between like 11 and 1. So it's been like little tiny habits like that because then the next day I like waking up at like 7, 8, or 9. Now I'm self-employed, so I don't really do anything before 10 or 11 a.m. Um, and so I like having that space in the middle between waking up because as a lot of people, especially neurodivergent people, we don't wake up firing on all cylinders and coffee isn't going to cut it. It takes me a couple of hours to get into the groove. I don't check my phone first thing in the morning. Um, I don't check I have no social media apps on my phone other than LinkedIn because I get paid to be on it. I still have Instagram and those things, but I check them on my computer. I purposely make it harder for me to check social media.
Mm.
Because the dopamine. So there's no doom scrolling in my bed. I don't charge my phone at my bed. I charge it on my desk across the room. I have an alarm clock. I have an iHome thing at my bed. That's my alarm clock. Um, I make my bed every single day because the act of getting something done is that tiny little dopamine hit
Mm.
that I need, right? And also my office is in my bedroom. I can't wait to live in a place where that's not true. But there's something about like just knowing your bed's made because then it's not even just the fact that it looks nice and it feels calming. When you go to bed, fresh sheets and clean linens and a nicely made bed, it just
Mm.
physically feels better. So I romanticize a lot of my own life.
Yeah,
I
I
got
have
mood
no
lighting on
idea
right
what
now.
having your office in your bedroom's like. Nope.
I've got a light here that's just for fun. I've got a light here that's for vitamin D, and I got a light over there for shadows. I don't need any of this
Yeah.
shit, but it just makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what working from your bedroom's like.
Yeah, yeah, not at all. That's all decor. That's all fake. Give a bedroom
Yeah,
set,
this
not
is
an
my
actual
set
bedroom.
background.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what is one major misconception about what it takes to do good marketing, especially from a neurodivergent perspective?
Oh my God. I got 6 hours. Um, oh my God. The biggest effect, because I work with a lot of early stage businesses, so my answer is definitely biased. And I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but a lot of people look at marketing like a luxury. If you're gonna hire biz dev or sales and you don't have a marketing like person, a ringleader, a CMO, whatever, I've had over 100 clients. I've been doing marketing for 15 years, and I've never even heard or experienced a story where that worked out. And it
Hmm.
drives me crazy. You can't sell anything sustainably without marketing. It's a fact. And it goes, well, we need to figure out our ICP first. We need to figure out this first. Like, that's marketing's job, dumbass. It's like you don't even know what marketing's job is. But they've decided that they don't need it because they think all marketing does is pretty website, which, by the way, studies show that pretty website can be a make it or break it for your business. Packaging
Hmm.
matters. We're all dumb. We're all just adults that love Coco Melon but with bills. Okay? We all love flashy colors and pretty things. We're animals at the end of the day. But it's not just that. There's a psychology to it. It's the role is we're the weirdos that hang out in the back room of the office in the hammock and in the beanbag chairs and the inflatable couch drinking our kombucha and our overpriced lattes. And people are like, what do you do all day for a living? Think about marketing, then occasionally pull a lever and something happens and it works. Like we're the weird ones at the company. But people
So,
think that because they don't get it, it's not important.
so if I understand correctly, it's marketing is so important because you need to get a group of people to sell to before you can close the sales, and the
That's
marketing
one of a
helps draw the
thousand
people
reasons.
in.
That's one of a
Okay.
thousand reasons. Yeah. Yeah. If I told you all the reasons, we'd be here for hours.
All right. Well, let's move on then. In your view, what is the most toxic piece of marketing advice that neurodivergent folks hear over and over again? And is there a way you would reframe it to make it more positive?
There's a lot of stuff that people do this for the sake of it in marketing. Like if you're a small business, you do not need a social media calendar in the traditional sense. You just need to know on Mondays you're going to post something of this topic, Tuesdays this topic, Wednesdays this topic. It doesn't have to be like I know exactly what's posting on January 14th, 2026. Like it's like you're spending so much time planning and showing and presenting your plans. There's a running joke that in marketing, 80% of your job is justifying your job, and then 20% of the job is actually doing the job. And and as a neurodivergent person, I think we have a tendency to be bullshit detectors, right? And like this work is like if you hire me and you trust me, why are you not just letting me do the damn thing? Like I'll show you what I'm gonna do, but like why do I have to spend 80% of my time putting together a presentation to show you something that I could have done 15 times over in that same period of time? Wouldn't you rather me have just done it and then show you the results? Because knock on wood, never gotten it wrong yet. You hired me because you thought I was good. Let me cook.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. And when I bring it up, if they're emotionally immature, they go insubordinate, rude, aggressive, the whole nine yards, which I think is why I relate to women a lot because they get told they're being bitchy or aggressive when they do the same thing. So, as a gay man who's also neurodivergent, I get a toe dip into that a bit. And even if I'm near other people that experience it, it's so triggering to like, it's like, why did you hire this person if you're not going to let them do their job? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a common feeling among contractors and freelancers. You hired me for my expertise, but then I give you advice and you're like, well, I don't know about that. I'm like, did you hire me for
Why
what
did
I
you go to the
know or
doctor?
not?
Yeah, why did you go to the doctor and say I don't feel good? And they go, "We'll do this to feel better." And they go, no. I need you to put together a 19-page pitch deck to justify it. Like, I think the fact that I went to school and got the degree and spent years doing this job, and you came here on your own free will and paid to see me is the justification for why you should take my advice. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I've got 30,000 followers. I've generated millions of dollars in revenue for other companies. I've grown 100 plus companies from zero to six figures and seven figures. And you signed a contract and you're paying me 5 to 6 figures over the course of a year to do work for you. And why do I still need to justify it?
Hmm.
Didn't I do that already? Don't get it.
So, if you could redesign one aspect of modern marketing culture to make it more inclusive and sustainable, what would you start with?
Don't be afraid to say no when a client asks you to do something that's going to hurt their own business. Don't be an
Hmm.
order taker. There's been a marketing has quickly become the one-stop shop for anything anybody else needs internally. Um, It's okay to say no. So like I just don't have the bandwidth. Like something, what on this list would you like? My dad always says because he was an engineer and a project manager. What on this list would you be okay getting taken off this list so I can do that? And they go, oh, well, we need all those things. Okay, get back in line, get back in line. You know.
Yeah.
Or also don't be afraid to say like that's not a good idea and politely like that's not going to help you achieve the goal that you're looking for. Let me tell you why. Own your expertise. You're being
Hmm.
hired to be the expert in what you do, be the expert in what you do. Sometimes that means telling the CEO that their idea is stupid. You don't have to say those words. I have clients that like it when I say those words because they think it's funny. But the point is that you're paid to some
Hmm.
extent to say, I hear what you're saying, here's why that won't work. Or I
Right.
hear what you're saying, here's why we need to do the same thing but this way. Like you're paid to be the subject matter expert in your idea. Or we can do that, but
Hmm.
these 10 things have to happen first. You know, own that. A lot of marketers have fallen into the trap of just being yes men or yes people. They're just doing what they're told to do. Make this, make that. Like I can make you an infographic, but the copy you want on it is stupid. Like this is the copy that
Hmm.
should be on it. Like and I'm telling you this because you pay me to tell you this.
Right. And your work is also on the line. If you're doing the marketing, you want it to be good marketing. So you want to guide your
Yeah.
client to, making
Uh,
good decisions for
Well,
their
also,
marketing.
marketers tend to be very emotional people, whether we're neurodivergent or not, because our job require it sits at the intersection of like art, psychology, business, and science and
Hmm.
technology, right? There's a lot of different skills that we have to know. And one of the things that I think a lot of people who don't work in marketing don't realize is we're the only department where you see all of our results in public. Like, so not only does our results being judged by the entire world, we're also being judged by the employees and our colleagues and coworkers, because you see our social media posts, you see our blog posts, you see everything that we're doing just as much as our customers are. And so everyone's got a damn opinion. Everyone's got an opinion, right? And I'm sorry, but I don't think other roles and departments have that same level of a magnifying glass on them. Like salespeople are a dime a dozen. The accountant can hide behind a laptop. Like the engineer, no one even knows their name, right? So marketers, we are on the front lines of everyone's opinion, whether we want it or not. It's also weirdly a part of our job to be on the front lines too. But so you can at
Hmm.
least be nice to us and realize that like we're already dealing with a bunch of assholes on social media for a living. Do you really need to be it at the office too? And also I'm the expert. I know what works. I'm open to your opinion and feedback, but don't come in here telling me what I should or should not do when you've never done my job. There's
Hmm.
a difference between giving your opinion and telling me what to do. And if you can't figure that out, go to therapy.
Right. Yeah. I think, fostering a culture of more mutual respect is really important for
I
this
don't tell these
situation
people
and
how to do
so
their
many
job.
others. Yeah.
I'm not going to engineer and saying you coded that wrong. I'm like, I don't even know I don't even know what the hell your job is at all.
Right. Um, I'm gonna ask one more question as we're running at the end of our 30 minutes. How do you envision the future of work for neurodivergent professionals in marketing? What's the next evolution you'd like to see?
I'm an optimist, like, not to get too, preachy here, but like every, 80 to 100 years, the world tends to do a bit of a social reform, and with the way the political environment is right now, and like with the evolution of like AI and bioengineering and clean energy, it's just like back when cars were invented or the post-industrial boom with the post-world wars, right? Every 80 to 100 years, societies go through a reset where they have to throw what's been used and out the window. Capitalism was invented, right? And I'm not saying the death of capitalism, but like there's people who study the future as historians for a living. And we're seeing that like the next 80 or so years, I'm incredibly optimistic. I think the 2030s are going to be an amazing time in the United States because we've all kind of had this weird bipartisan awakening of like, wow, this isn't working. We have to try something else. And, so with that instead, like that's very macro, but that has a ripple effect in everything. And with the administration and people attacking trans people, people of color, women,
Mhm.
neurodivergent people, the list goes on. It's just because there's powers that those people have that the rest of them don't. right? And if we're going to tear this whole system down and build anew, as we should, and we should look forward to it, we should be very optimistic right now. I'm very hopeful. um, we'll realize that neurodivergent people aren't broken. You know, it is a disability in the context of like we might need different support needs because there's physical manifestations that cause us troubles. But I'm not broken. I'm just on a different operating system than you. And my operating system comes with features and perks that yours doesn't. And yours also comes with equally great features and perks that mine doesn't. So we
Mhm.
all win when we learn how to work together. So I am very optimistic that we're going to start seeing a revolution of people realizing that we're not liabilities. We're not something that needs accommodations because we're dead weight. We're just somebody who just needs a different flow to achieve the same end goal. And if you do that, we all have better ideas. We all have better products. We all have better policies and laws and systems. The list goes on because our superpower is we can see things from 1,000 different perspectives in 1/10 of the time. Who doesn't
Mhm.
want to have people like that in their life? I think the neurodivergent community is on the precipice of amazing things.
That is such a wonderful thought. I think that ties in a lot to kind of why I named my series what I named it, How We Work Now, because I'm trying to bring like modern work isn't it's evolving, it's including more people and not just because it's the right thing to do to, have equal opportunity for neurodivergent,
Yeah.
chronically ill, disabled people, but because it's genuinely helpful for everybody involved to have
Yeah.
different perspectives and different people that have different talents and skills that they bring to the table because of their lived experience.
Yeah.
So I want
I
to,
hang on one second. My thing died. Holy crap. I'm a big believer in um pragmatism will ultimately achieve the goal that we're looking for.
Mhm.
And I think that that applies to work and politics. If your population's healthier, people work more. When they work more, they get more done. When they work more and get more done, they get paid more. When they get paid more, they buy more things. When they buy more things, they pay more taxes. When you pay more taxes, you can then now improve the schools. When people improve the school, do you see where I'm going?
Oh
It's a
yeah.
cycle. So it's like we're all realizing that if we just take care of each other, we all win. And we have to stop basing it off of quarterly spreadsheets and
Yes.
bipartisan politics and what work was defined as back in 1925. The game's different. It's okay to acknowledge that the game is different and realize that investment needs to be done to better people because if you really love capitalism, then you would have universal health care. You would have public education. You would have those things because people who have those things make more money and spend more money and make more tax dollars. So weirdly, it's like you have it backwards. And I think that's going to work has to change for that to happen. And we're seeing it happen.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Evan. I really appreciated learning about your story and hearing your insights and wisdom living with neurodivergence and, going through the world of marketing and making your mark. So
Thank
that'll
you.
be it for the episode today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned lots.